Oh, what about you? 2010 Volvo XC90 D5. And this one is a manual with 269,000 odd miles on it. And guys owned it from brand new, so he's had it 11 years. And it's just went through MOT about a month ago. So when I say it's just went through the MOT, I mean it's just passed the MOT about a month ago. According to the owner, I haven't checked that, but you know, no reason to disbelieve that. But now the customer complaint is that he's reporting he's hearing a knocking from the suspension when you lightly brake, going over bumps, turning the wheel, stuff like that. So a quick road test and the visual inspection reveals this. See, this is parting company here. So whenever we point that out, he just wants the both wishbones changed. This one here's the worst, but just going to do the two. These wishbones can be a wee bit tricky because, as you can see, the car's up in the air, it's off the ground, so you know these wishbones are hanging down, so they're under tension. 2 bolts through the subframe, one at the front and one at the back of this. And a bolt to the rear, but as you can see, that bushing is under tension there. We need this wishbone to be horizontal as we can get it. So for ease of removal and refitting, you know, we need this, get this wishbone as horizontal as we can and not hanging away down. So I'll disconnect a few things first. I have the caliper hung up on the spring up there. Just going to make sure this drive shaft's going to come. So we'll keep that in a few threads there. I had a couple of gentle love taps, not too hard. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So if she went in there, then you know this is going to come. So we drop a scoot will help get that bit of rust out of there on the splines, and we'll maybe run this bolt in and out a few times just to loosen this drive shaft a wee bit. My helper's on the wishbone, and let me see. Get on there, baby. I'll give this a tighten up. Well, we got her now. Took a wee bit of hammer in there. So what I found with the air hammer, with the compressor kicks in, and you know, that first burst, you know, that's your strongest oomph with the air hammer. So we'll get this out of the way here. With the drop link disconnected, and this track rod end here. So these aren't actually tapered, these track rod ends, so you'll see in a minute. So you don't have to break a taper with it. So that's the way they are there. And I'll lift her out and see if she'll come out. Not yet. Wee bit of ignorance and it might clear. There's not much in it. That's just down as far as it'll go, so I might have to do something else. I think we'll loosen these two strut mounting bolts here. We'll leave the top bolt in, and we'll remove the bottom one. So the bottom of the hub will swing out for us. So that's what we'll do now. Just have to up the ante a bit. Something a wee bit bigger. And she's still tight but jiggers. I might as well just disconnect the ABS wire and lift the hub off, and everything else disconnected from it. So we might have to resort to a bit of valance here. This is down as far as it'll go. I just went ahead and lifted the hub off, disconnected the ABS wire there in the engine bay, and it was disconnected anyway. There's buckets of room now. So half shafts just cable tied up onto the strut here, and that is definitely as far down as that'll go. You probably can't see it in that shot, but that won't go down any further. It's not there that's stopping it from drooping down anymore. Maybe you can see it from that angle. Or from below. So I don't like wrestling with stuff, you know. That's when you start stripping threads and breaking things, you know, bending stuff. Plus, it sort of takes the joy out of it if you have to wrestle, and you know, you might hurt yourself as well. So I like to do things in a controlled manner. So what we're looking to achieve here is to have this thing horizontal, this wishbone, or track control arm, or whatever you want to call it. So you don't want tension on these bolts, you know. So if you try and take these bolts out when they're under tension, when this thing is being forced down on the rubber bushings, then you know that's you're gonna strip them, you know. So that's what all this is about. So our next pain is these two bolts, these two through bolts that go through the subframe. This is a gooseneck job here, and these are power steering pipes. So I've unclipped this one. This direction here, there is a P-clip under the chassis. I've disconnected that, and then it goes on to, you know, flexible hose, but that direction, it goes onto the rack, and it's solid. So I managed to unclip it out of these wee plastic clips a wee bit, just to get, but it'll only go as far. It's more or less touching the engine sump here, so we'll have to remember to make sure they're well and truly seated, you know, so. And they are as tight. Oh, yeah, get that going there. So they're only 15, so this spanner isn't that long. I could put probably a short socket on it, maybe. Yeah, we're getting there. Once I get her going, it should be grand. Right, we'll loosen this back bolt. Spanner on the top. That wasn't too bad. Everything in this Volvo is very tight. All the bolts. I think I never come off before. The owner tells me that he bought this car brand new, and it's 11 years old. It's 2010 model year. And I asked him, I've never worked in this car before. This is a new car to me. I've worked in plenty of XC90s, like, but not this particular one. And so the first question I ask these guys, if they're like a new customer, I say, well, who's been doing your service? And who does work at your car? Do you do it yourself, or what's the crack? You know? So he tells me he bought it at the dealer in Antrim. I believe it's closed now, and that's why he's asked me to do this. So the dealer's now closed, and the dealer has been doing all the work for him. So now, I'm not knocking out to knock anybody, knock dealers or anybody like that. So this is the caliper that's hung up out of the way for to do a strip down. And the brake pads out of it are indeed Volvo genuine pads. There's plenty of meat on them, and they're going to go back in again, and that's fine. However, when I test drove this car, I did remark to him, I thought his brakes weren't that great. You know, pedal was a bit hard, you know, not much feeling in it, that type of thing. So this aluminium carrier here, or caliper I should say, is aluminium, so that's a magnet. Doesn't stick to it, you know. Sticking to that wee metal bleed nipple, you know. So this is aluminium. These slider pins are seized, you know. So however, the brake pads are fairly fresh, and that there's the pins on these calipers. There's a long one, there's a short one. The long ones seize solid in these rubbers, and I've shown this on the channel before with doing brakes and all that there. I could give that a wee dress, but that's dead on. So you have to take these rubbers out and get rid of all the aluminium oxidization, and because that grips these slider pins, you know. So she's running freely now, but that I had some difficulty getting that caliper off, and you know, put a lot of time on this job. So with the rearmost bolt out, and that means this thing can rotate, you know. It means it can go like that, because these bolts that go through here, well, they're not going to come out completely because of the where's my spanner? Because of the power steering lines. So you know, so you want that to pull out then, you know, because the bolts then start to back out onto the lines. So you want that to rotate. You just leave the bolts in, you know. Just pull her out then. So I'm just going to give these faces a bit of a dress. Not too much now, just get the build up off it, you know. Hey, we'll just get a bit of this debris out of here. Pop these bolts back out. And we'll just give it a bit of panther here and there. Let this thing slide in a wee bit nicer, our new one. So set her in here first, and I'll just pop there, and we'll get the bolt in here. Just put her on a couple of threads just to stop from dropping out. So we'll get these started as well. And so this style of wishbone, then, you know, it's unlike the other ones where, you know, there's a through bolt at the front, and those type, if you watch the channel a lot, I say yes, those type you have to tighten the bolts when the car is resting on the bushing. This type here, not the case. So it's the opposite, in fact. This type here, then, we need to tighten these bolts before we put the car down, you know. So we don't have these loose in any way at all, you know, because you'll just put strain on these bolts here. So what we want to do, we want to keep this one here loose, and we'll tighten these up, because we want this thing to be able to still go in and out like that, you know, sort of rotate, you know. So say for example, if we tighten this bolt, this rearmost bolt here now, then this is going to struggle to pull it in, and you'll put tension in that bush, you'll twist that bush. So just that one there, that's just a locator at the minute, and we'll tighten these ones in. So the new wishbone tightened up and held down with my little helper there. That is, that blue thing there, that is marvellous piece of kit, telling you. Don't know what I did without it. And just a screwdriver in, and that'll get our bolts started. So, get that bolt in, and I'll let us take the screwdriver out. But that's her built back up again. So, in case you're wondering, whenever I run nuts up with the impact, I go around it with a ratchet after that to feel the torque, you know. So this just leaves this wee drive shaft bolt. This, you're supposed to replace this, but wee bit of blue thread locker on it. Now this isn't a huge torque. This doesn't clamp the wheel bearing. This isn't holding the wheel bearing in place. The wheel bearing's modular in this case, so all that's really doing is holding the drive shaft, stopping the drive shaft and go back out again. So there's no huge torque on it. So anyway, the torque setting of it is 35 Newton meters, so not very much, and 120 degrees. So 120 degrees, what's that? So that'll be 90, 120, just past that. So we'll give it a hoof round. There's about 90. There's about 120 there. So it's not mad torque on it. The rest of the torque specs, you know, common sense for suspension components, you know, your track rod and stuff like that. Pretty common sense, tight's tight, you know. So what's left? Well, I need to do the other side now, and I think from what I saw there, from what I did with that one, we'll just go ahead and pull the disc off and you know, pull the hub off from this experience instead of all that wrestling match, you know. So yeah, I don't like wrestling. Why? You do yourself an injury or whatever, you break something, doing all that. So you do everything in a chronological order, and you should be good to go. It should be sweet. So that's about it, really. As ever, many thanks for watching. Maybe you get something out of it, and all the best, and